You are going to have to jump. You cannot just exist in this life. You have got to try to live. If you're waking up thinking that there's got to be more to your life than it is, man, believe that it is. Believe in your heart of hearts that it is. But to get to that life, you're going to have to jump.
Yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to Black Excellence Daily. I'm your host, Sean Croxton. Thank you so much for tuning in. We've got Steve Harvey on the show today. Before we get to Steve, I want to lend some additional context to his talk, because he is talking about doing this thing that we're all going to have to do if we want to improve our lives, which is to jump, which is to stand on the cliff of life and to leap into unknown territory, which of course is scary. It's exciting, but at the same time, it's scary. And whenever I hear this talk, I can't help but think about this thing that we call freedom. You know, freedom is supposed to be this amazing, beautiful thing that we get to experience. And, you know, we're free to do whatever we want to, when we want to. It's supposed to give us so much joy. But there's a side to freedom that we almost never talk about. There was a philosopher, his name was Soren Kierkegaard. And one of his most famous quotes was this: "Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom." In other words, freedom is a frightening thing. Freedom is scary, because when you're free, your life isn't being controlled. It's not being constricted by other people. When you're free, your life is up to you, and there are no guarantees of how it's going to turn out. I like to think of this as a restaurant menu. You know, they've cut down their menu quite a bit recently. I think it's only about 5 pages or so. But back in the day, the Cheesecake Factory menu used to be 23 pages, I think. It was a long menu. And there's dozens and dozens and dozens of options. And what happens when you have that many options? You sit there and you're paralyzed. You're going, what do I want? I don't know if I want this, I want that. Oh my God, it all looks so good. Oh my God, what if I pick this and I don't like it? Oh my God, I usually like this, but what if they make it differently? On and on and on. So what do most people do? They ask the server, "Hey server, what do other people like? What do you like?" And the server will give you some suggestions, usually like 2 or 3, and then you'll pick one of them. Now, when your meal arrives and you don't like it, what's the funny thing about that? Is if you don't like the meal, it wasn't your fault. You don't have to take responsibility for it, because it wasn't really your choice, right? Somebody gave those choices to you. You picked one, and you know, it wasn't really on you. It's their fault. And that is freedom in a nutshell, because freedom involves infinite possibilities. There are too many options to choose from. The more options you have, the more anxious you get. So what happens when you look at all those possibilities and you choose one and you say, I'm going to go after that? It scares the daylights out of you. Because number one, what if you're wrong? What if it's not the right possibility? What if it's not the right choice off the menu? Number two is when you go after that possibility, there's a good chance that you're going to have to deal with failure. There's a good chance you're going to have to deal with criticism from people you don't know and people who you do know. People who are in your inner circle who don't believe in you are going to criticize you and tell you all the things that you're doing wrong. And then there's this other one, which is something that we tend to not talk about as well, which is this idea of, what if I succeed? No, 15 years ago or so, when I was sabotaging myself over and over and over again, one of the big realizations that I had was that I feared success. Think of it this way. If you're from a family that doesn't have much money and it goes back generations, how are you going to feel when you succeed and you have money? Do you become responsible for taking care of everybody in your family? Do they resent you for your success? Do they think that you think you're all that? Are you going to still fit in with your friends? Like, what's that like? Now you're making money and your friends don't have that much money. And so what happens? Like, what does that dynamic look like? They can't afford to go to the places that you want to go. You end up picking up the tab for everybody. You're starting to feel a little bit weird. Like, why am I taking care of everybody? Why do I have to pay for everything all the time? Like, I went through this. Are you going to have to move to another neighborhood where you might not fit in, where there are different rules and different values? Are you going to feel guilty for moving out? Like, these are all the things that you go through when you become successful. These are the things that give you a strong sense of anxiety when you pick a possibility and you go after it. Freedom is tricky like that. Freedom is a beast. So in order to experience a possibility that you've never experienced before, you're going to have to take one scary leap into the unknown, which is why most people never take that leap. And then, because they never took that leap and they were too scared to take that leap, they go around saying someone or something held them back. They stood on the cliff of life and somebody was just grabbing them by the shoulders, right? Put a harness around them and say, no, you're not going. Or they'll say, you know what? I'm not really free. We got to get more freedom. Like, no, you got plenty of freedom. You're just not using it because freedom is scary. And what that is just fear talking. That leap will do that to you. The leap will make you do some crazy things. The leap will make you say some crazy things. I'm not free. No, you are very free. Real quick, before we get to Steve Harvey, there's a book called The Content of Our Character by Shelby Steele. And his premise is that Black folks got our freedom. But when we got it, we didn't know what to do with it. All we knew up until that point was how to operate under the conditions of oppression. But this freedom thing was brand new. The civil rights leaders weren't talking about this side of freedom. We had no idea that freedom entailed so much fear and anxiety and vulnerability. And to some, freedom, when we got it, was a disappointment. It wasn't what we thought it was because nobody told us what freedom really is. But now we have it. We can't get rid of our freedom. So we are free to make our lives into whatever we want to make them. So the first step, I always say, is to decide what you want. Then you got to make your plan. Then you have to have the courage to jump off that cliff and be willing, as Steve Harvey says today, to hit those rocks on the way down and wait for your wings to spread and to soar, right? At some point, you're going to soar, but you're never going to soar if you don't jump. Steve Harvey's coming up.
I'm going to share something with you. I'm going to tell you something that every successful person has to do, including you. Believe it or not, every successful person in this world has jumped. I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. You are going to have to jump. You cannot just exist in this life. You have got to try to live. If you're waking up thinking that there's got to be more to your life than it is, man, believe that it is. Believe in your heart of hearts that it is. But to get to that life, you're going to have to jump. I'll tell you why I call it jumping. See, God, when he created all of us, he gave every last one of us a gift at birth. He never created a soul without endowing them with a gift. You just got to quit looking at gifts as running, jumping, singing, dancing. It's more than that. It's if you know how to network, if you can connect dots, if you draw, if you teach. Some of y'all fry chicken better than anybody else, bake pie. Some of you cut hair, color hair. Some people do grass. I got a partner, man, we never wanted to go out with us because we stayed out too late. Come on, man, go out with now. I got to get up early, mom, cutting Miss Johnson's grass. We kept laughing at this dude, cutting grass. How much they pay you? He got a landscaping company in Cleveland worth $4 million. Because all he do is cut grass. But he was gifted at it. I got a partner on a detail shop, make $800,000 a year detailing cars. He got 6 mobile trucks running around. $800,000 a year. All he do is detail cars. That's his gift. That's what he loved to do. You've got to identify that gift. Now listen to me. When you see people in life, when you're standing on the cliff of life and you see people soaring by, when you see people soaring, going to exotic places, you hear about them doing wonderful things. Maybe you look up the street and your neighbor just gets a car every year, every 2 years. You know, how is he doing that? Have you ever thought, maybe this person right here has identified their gift and is living in their gift? Because your Bible says, your Bible says your gift will make room for you. Your gift, not your education. You go get an education, that's nice. But if you don't use your gift, that education only gonna take you so far, man. I know a lot of people got degrees, man. They ain't even using them. It's your gift. But the only way for you to soar is you got to jump. You got to take that gift that's packed away on your back. You got to jump off that cliff and pull that cord. That gift opens up and provides the soar. If you don't ever use it, you're going to just go to work. And if you're getting up going to work on a job every day that you hate going to, that ain't living, man. You just existed. At one point in time, you ought to see what living's like. But the only way to see what living like, you got to jump. And here's the problem. Let me just be real with you. When you first jump, let me tell you something. Your parachute will not open right away. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you it did, but it don't. When you jump, it's not going to open right away. You're going to hit them rocks. You're going to get some skin tore off on them cliffs. You're going to get all your clothes tore off. You're going to get some cuts on you. You're going to be bleeding pretty bad. But eventually, the parachute has to open. That is a promise of God. That ain't a theory, that's a promise. His promises is true, because listen to me. You cannot name one single thing God has not gotten you through. Name it. And if he ain't got you through it, he currently pulling you through it right now. And the living proof of it is you sitting in here. If he hadn't got you through it, you wouldn't even be here. So if he ain't never not got you through it, why would he not let your parachute open? It has to open, man. But it ain't, you gotta jump, though. Now, here's another thing. You can play it safe and deal without the cuts and the tears. And you can stand on that cliff of life forever safe. But if you don't jump, I got another promise I can make you. Your parachute will never open. You'll never know. You'll never know what God really has for you. See, your God has a wonderful life for you. Once again, I'm going to refer to your Bible. Now, you go down there, you memorize these scriptures, you don't apply them to yourself. Your Bible says that he comes to give you life and give you life more abundantly. If I were you, I would jump. Because that's the only way to get to that abundant life. You got to jump, man. You got to take a chance. Now, when I get through talking, there are those of you who discuss this in the car. Well, I got bills, and I got bills. Whether you stay on the cliff or you jump, you're going to have bills. Well, if I quit my job, I'm going to ruin my credit. If you got a job, you live in check to check. Even if you got A1 credit, you can't buy nothing else no damn way. At one point in time, man, do yourself a favor. Go see what God really do. God hold you up, man. He ain't gonna let you fall. He ain't bring you this far to let you fall. Do yourself a favor, man. Before you leave this world, before you die, jump. Just jump one time. Just jump. Thank you very much.
That was Steve Harvey. His website is steveharvey.com. You can watch today's talk on YouTube. It is called Jump. All right, my friend. Hey, please follow me on Instagram at Sean Croxton. I would love if you wrote a review, a 5-star review for the show on Apple Podcast or Spotify or Pandora or Google Play or Amazon, wherever you listen to this podcast. Very much appreciated. I will see you tomorrow. We're going to wrap things up with Willie Jolly. I'm out. Peace.